Therapy dudes, take away your stress, put you in a good mood. If you had them over, they would eat up all your food. It's time for therapy dudes.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. Today, is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I'm not in the mood to play with anybody.
Oh, Andre, I've been waiting and waiting to find the right moment for that soundbite.
I was like, which one is this? I've never seen you click that one. I was excited.
Um, that welcome to the Therapy Dudes, Dan Fox and Andre Karkmaz. I'm kind of in a little giggly mood now, but today was a very bad day, Andre. It was a very bad day.
Oh no. What
I
happened?
thought I was going to get a lot of stuff done. I had a slightly less rigorous work schedule than I've had for the last couple of weeks. And I went to fill my hot tub to the like just to kind of add a little water, right? It was just, had gotten a little low. And I did that for 10 minutes. And then as I was turning off the hose, I saw that water was dripping out under the siding of the house from, the pipe that was in the crawl space.
Oh no.
Yes, very tragic realization. And then the crawl space is really tiny in this part of the house. So I eked my way under the stairs through the cobwebs with my little phone flashlight to see what was going on. And there was a lake of water that was being held there by the tarp that prevents it's like a radon mitigation tarp. Right? So that was just holding this like sea of water.
Oh God.
Underneath my house. Yeah. And that started, a cascading series of events that meant that I had to fix my shop vac so that I could.
You didn't just try covering it up? Like, would that have worked? Or, like putting a tarp over it or something?
Right. So, right, like collecting it in between two tarps so it would just stay there and get moldy. I think.
Oh, that's not good.
Out of sight, out of mind. Not going to happen. But I eventually had to figure out how to like shop vac the water out of there, which was a little tricky because the shop vac tube is pretty small. The water was pretty far in there. The opening to get into the crawl space didn't fit the shop vac in an upright position. I got very soaking wet. The long and short of it is that all 15 of our towels have like, this kind of nasty water on them. The shop vac eventually did its job, and there's a fan there underneath the house right now, just, trying to dry things out. So far it's been about, I don't know, 5.5 hours of, me going to Home Depot, getting stuff, all that. And the one remaining piece is to replace the pipe. But I had to turn the water off in the house because otherwise, I can't replace the pipe and it was leaking and all that. So
this is all gibberish to me because, my family's first generation immigrants. We've always lived in apartments. I can't relate to rich white dudes. Like, I don't get it.
I know I'm coming from a place of there's a privilege.
Like, what is
to
he
have a
talking
lake
about?
in
What
my
is
house.
this?
Right.
Like, there's pipes, there's some tarps, there's water. Okay, I think you'll be fine. The hot tub didn't work. I think you'll be fine.
Oh, I have no running water. Can you relate to no running water?
Oh, no running water. Unfortunately, yes, I can relate.
I stupidly put all the wet towels that I'd used to sop up the water from under the house that I wanted to get up to the shop vac one in. I put them into the washing machine.
Yeah.
Forgetting that the water's turned off.
Oh, we're still talking about this. Okay, keep going.
Wow, brutal.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You had a bad day. I get it.
Um, no, no, that's fine. That's fine. Everything's fine. It was a
Okay,
great
good.
day.
I'm
I'm
just trying to help you with the cognitive distortion around this. That's all. Like, you're fine. You'll be okay.
I will be okay.
I'm
Um,
so minimizing. I'm so much
as
less
an old
compassionate to
person
you than
with
you are to
back
me.
problems,
Oh,
it
nice.
it
Oh,
does create.
I'll help. Tell me to come over. I'll help. Do you need me to do anything?
I just need you to like return your emails in a prompt way when I send you messages. I
That
don't.
is not what my generation does. I'm sorry. It's just like we were never trained that way, you know? It's like the older people. They're very about that. Where I just it's not
I
in
thought
me.
your generation was like you get a message and you return it within like 10 seconds.
Those
Otherwise,
are people that we're excited about.
okay. Wow.
I'm
Wow.
kidding,
Just
dude.
absorbing body
I
blows
am so mean
left
today,
and right.
and it sucks because you're actually very compassionate and kind to me all the time. I'm kidding. I love you, man. I love you. We're good. We're
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. No,
And I will help
it
you with
is
your rich person house anytime.
it is basically um very funny. And it reminds me of this. I'm reading this book about the parent-child relationship
Mm,
because
there
uh
we go.
my kid's high school
Yeah.
is doing a like 3 session sort of like shared book reading with parents. And I I am in a fortunate position to be able to facilitate those conversations with them. So I
Mm,
wanted to really understand the book well. But everything you're doing right now is a big
hmm
no-no in that book. Like
Oh,
being dismissive. If I was your
I
child,
know.
I would learn that Andre's not a safe person to talk to.
I am definitely not today. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we repair? Is there
You want to
something
do
I
some
can
repair
do?
work?
Yeah, I just want to apologize. I realize that your experience is your experience and your feelings are yours, and I need to like I still need to support it, no matter the gap between our experiences in life.
Well, you've given me an opportunity for this.
Well,
Okay.
let's be nice. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean,
See, I finally wanted you to press that button. That's why this happened.
Thank you. I'm glad you
You're
gave me the
welcome.
opportunity. Uh, wow, this is getting totally derailed. We're
Yeah, I'm sorry.
supposed to be
It's my
talking
fault.
about um, how we're doing personally with the anxiety of sort of larger world issues and um, getting a bit of a personal, lens into what we talked about last time around,
Mm,
how to have
okay.
boundaries, how to stay,
Yeah.
kind of healthy and functional with
Yeah.
all of that. And as a therapist with, the sort of compounding nature of those conversations, because I'm I'm imagining this is happening to you, but part of my work is, helping my clients through that kind of uh, concern as they,
Right.
think about news on the daily that feels awful and,
Yeah.
you know, easy to fix it on, very easy to get anxious, depressed, hopeless about it.
Right. Well, do you want me to start? Since I've been really mean, I want to give you the choice. You know, I
No,
want
I
to here.
appreciate that. I
Yeah.
just want to say that my misery has been amplified today by the lake of water underneath my house, stuck on a, and
Yeah.
I would call and get a young, able body like you to come
hmm
help get under the house, but you're so unreliable that there's no
And I mean, so
and me.
I might not
So
answer,
I had
right?
to do it
So,
myself, and I hope I
yeah.
have back pain because I'll blame it on you.
Oh God, I don't hope you have back pain. And I will help you if you really need it in real life. But I would you know I don't remember like I kind of remember like past events that were politically charged that people had this kind of reaction to in the past. So I'm going to start with the very first one that I remember. That's Y2K. I was like 10 years old when that was about to happen. You were probably one of the people that thought it was going to happen because you were old enough to think that
I'm surprised you were even alive for Y2K.
way. Yeah, I was a kid, maybe like 8 years old or something. But um, So, yeah, Y2K was happening. I remember everyone like the day before, it flipped over to 2000. everyone was freaking out. The grocery stores were being, everything was being bought, like the same kind of crap we
People were
saw.
taking money out of their bank accounts because they were
Yeah,
worried they would have no access.
right. Well, we were going to lose everything. The world's going to end, like it's going to be anarchy and all this stuff. Yeah, I remember as a kid looking at this and being like, this is absolutely stupid. Like, this is not happening. Like, these people don't know what they're thinking.
All right. Let me just play devil's advocate, and you
Yeah.
talk me down using all your therapeutic school skills.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
by the way, Therapy Dudes is brought to us by Boulder Psychological Services. Check out boulderpsychologicalservices.com for all your therapy needs,
Needs, not nudes.
not
Needs.
nudes. Needs.
Jesus. Okay.
So, to play devil's advocate here, um,
Yes.
yeah, Y2K became a nothing burger, right? It
So
like
did
clocks,
2012
the
when everyone
clocks,
was like, the world's going to end.
right? But the current news right now, and say the US AID programs that have been shut down, like people have actually died from this. People have lost access to their necessary medication. It's not a nothing burger, right? We are like sending immigrants to Guantanamo, which to me feels atrocious.
Okay.
My my sister's wonderful child
Yeah.
who is non-binary
Hmm.
is getting bullied, and there's this overt like anger
Hmm.
for this middle schooler because they just want to be able to like feel normal, and the school and the community aren't letting them. And that that kind of stuff is actually right like happening all across the United States and beyond, right? Like there's aid that we were, sending out to various different countries that has been cut off with a very kind of ruthless sense of like, oh, I'm a billionaire. I can just like slice this stuff off. It doesn't
Right.
matter. These people
Yeah.
should try harder. Why don't they get a job at McDonald's if they need money?
Yeah. Okay. So this could easily turn into a political rant. So I'm going to try to prevent myself from like, leaning on what happened the 4 years prior that I could be like, well, this was going because that's a trap, right? So
Right.
what I'll tell you is this. Yes, things are happening that suck. They were happening 4 years ago. They were happening 4 years before that. They're always happening. I think some of the decisions that are being made are ones I don't stand behind right now, right? Um,
But it's also, it seems like it's happening to a much higher degree in the last couple of months than it was before.
maybe. And maybe there are factions of the world that were experiencing things when a different party, was in office. And I can think of like the military, for instance, or like what happened in Afghanistan. I can start to like talk about, there are catastrophes that have been happening, and there are decisions that both political parties make that are not great, and this is something we have to accept and fight against in our communities and in the way we treat each other. And your example of the non-binary, your sister's non-binary child,
Yes.
in that example, it's like, well, was that happening because of the current political state, or was it happening always? Right?
Well, as it turns out,
Yeah.
North Carolina has, passed laws around you've got to be in the sport that's on your birth certificate.
Yeah.
So, this poor middle schooler can't
I
play
get it.
volleyball.
Yeah.
And it's it is actually, happening in a significant way. And there was an executive order about um gender, and it was really anti-trans. And
Yeah. But
there's
someone might flip that and say it's pro women, right? And women have been like, do you see what I'm trying to say? Like,
No.
any way we go about this, we can have an argument that says we're going against one of the groups.
Um,
Someone's going to say that biological men should be in sports with other men because they can compete on a level different than a biological woman, and this is protecting women's rights, right? Like this is an argument I hear on the other side, and then on and
sure, but we
right,
know that the NCAA
hmm
had like somewhere between, I don't know, it's like maybe ten people in the entire sports system
right,
that were trans. So
right,
it's to say that it's pro women is to take a few very isolated incidents in sports where women were rightfully super pissed that they had spent their, whole life training to be at an elite level and getting beaten by somebody who has, a body that grew up with like male chemicals and is
right.
physically more dominant, right? That's messed up, but that's not what I'm talking about
Okay, what
when,
are you talking about?
well, when they say that people aren't allowed to identify as anything but their
Ah,
sex at birth, when
gotcha.
passports have allowed people to identify as non-binary, but now if these executive orders pass, that's void, which means that somebody's passport is void. We don't even really know the details of that because it's so it's so new. But this also means that people have to like somehow produce their birth certificate if their gender is getting questioned, which
Hmm,
seems very invasive. And this is just one, you know, small experience that my sister's family is having
sure.
in a sea of many of these on just one issue of many where the message seems to be
hmm
if you're not a straight white cisgendered male like me,
hmm
that there's something kind of, inferior about you and you don't deserve any kind of, evening of the scales and the privilege that, someone in my shoes has been afforded the past 50 years.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we're gonna start to, demand that schools are
hmm
gonna have to, right? Like the mandate came down that they had 2 weeks to get rid of any DEI stuff. So can you take an underprivileged community and do a special graduation ceremony for them at the college that they go to?
Yeah.
And the position that the government was taking was not if you want federal funding from the government,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
is right. Like that's
Yeah.
just not that's fundamentally so not right. And it's so not right to look at weird incidents like the California fires or the like helicopter and plane crash in
Uh,
DC
geez.
and to
Yeah, that was
go,
a bad one.
these are because of DEI hires. So with that lens, we can look at any tragedy that's happening and take this approach of, well, if there are people that have been hired that aren't straight white males, they must have been hired from a DEI standpoint.
Right.
And we're going to just scrutinize the crud out of their resume and career until we find
Yeah.
some little thing where,
Well, I'm going to pause you for a second
thank you, because
because
I'm
we're
ranting
running out of
way too
time.
much.
And no, no, you said plenty, and this is the kind of stuff I hear from clients, and this is what we're talking about today, right?
Yes.
First, I want to ask you, how are you feeling?
Overwhelmed, sad, and angry,
Great. I
and
mean, it's not great for you.
getting
Yeah.
dysregulated, right?
Right.
Like I
Right.
can feel my nervous system amplifying.
Right. Right. And I wanted to try to balance it a little bit by introducing like maybe a thought that like, I get that right now this is what's happening and this portion of society is being harmed by it. 4 years ago it might have been a different portion. 4 years before that, like there are always going to be um, systemic issues is what I'm trying to say. And I don't want any portion of society to feel marginalized. I don't want any portion of society to feel like they don't have their rights, right? But that's not up to me. And this is what I'm trying to say. You're fixating on this, and I'm watching you talk about it, right? And I'm not disagreeing. I actually wanted to not play devil's advocate, but like try to like help you see something else. And I couldn't even get a word in, right? Because there's so much passion there and good for you. Like I know your heart, Dan. I know where it's coming from. But this is what we're trying to teach people. You went down a rabbit hole, right? Around this. And you're very passionate about it, but it hurt you, right?
Yeah.
And
No.
we know what's going on. But if you fixated on this for the next hour, 2 hours. You start opening articles tomorrow. Maybe some people will believe like you're abandoning these marginalized groups if you don't fixate on this enough and you don't feel their pain constantly and you don't think about it enough. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think it's healthy to constantly go through that, right? Like so what I would have
Right.
asked is like,
But I would throw back there that
yes,
I have the privilege as a straight white cisgender male who is, having
I
this
know that
nice
white
career, went
guilt.
to
I
college, all
know.
that, right?
I know.
Where I
And you
can just
still
go,
deserve
oh, I'm
peace.
going to take a break from this
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's not
Well,
affecting me the way it's affecting certain people who have, lost their job or are getting kicked out of the country
right.
or are getting told that they can't express themselves
Right.
as the person they feel like they were born as, right? Like this is I
There's guilt
I
there.
think
There's
you're
like this
right. There's
feeling.
guilt,
Yeah.
and
There's
and
just
I
this,
I feel
yeah,
like you're right that to go down the rabbit hole and just not take a breath and try to take a break is um
destructive.
right. Well, it's no, it's healthy to do to take the breaks, right?
You're
Or
right.
destructive not to. Um, but it also, yeah, it brings up that like feeling of like, oh, well,
Well, okay.
like none of this stuff really affects me to the
And
point, so I can take
exactly.
a break and just
Well,
tune
let
out.
me say something here then.
Yeah.
Me and my family have experienced racism. I have experienced a ton of racism. 9/11 was my freshman year of high school. My white girlfriend, her mom told her, "Why are you dating him? Go date the guy with blue eyes and blonde hair instead." Like this literally happened. And I had piss thrown at me, all kinds of
Wow.
stuff that year. Yeah, it was awful. It was fucking terrible. But to sit here and watch someone say, like, I feel guilty because of what you're going through, and I can like what you went through or whatever, and I can just sit back and um, it doesn't help me if you're just feeling into it constantly, right? Like it doesn't undo what I went through. It doesn't undo what's going on in the world right now. And so, sometimes guilt serves a very functional purpose in uncovering truths that we might not realize, right? But if we have those truths and we have that knowledge, what's the line between guilt and just torture, right? And
Hmm.
just like unnecessary pain, like putting yourself through something because you feel like it's the right thing to do because someone has a political ideology that says if you're not constantly aware of this and feeling this pain, then you are not helpful. You are taking advantage.
All right.
As someone who's experienced that, I don't like these kind of things. I don't think it's not helpful to me. That's all I'll say. Maybe it's helpful to someone else that you said that, right? But that's my point, right? Like we all have a different point of view on these things. And how much is it going to affect you? How much is it going to affect me, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Dan? Or do I
Yeah,
sound
no, it
like
does. It does.
yeah,
And I'm conscious that we're out of time. I know we got to wrap. I hope
okay.
this was uh helpful to anybody listening. And normally we would play the outro at this point, which is just a goofy little thing about us as therapy dudes.
but I talk too much.
It really strikes the wrong tone. I think we just should wrap up for today. And thanks for listening. Really
Yeah,
excited. We have Harmony Barrett Isaacs for our next two podcasts coming
right.
next week. So tune in next time. Thanks.